Hello, everyone, and welcome back to the latest This is the Music Meets Podcast, an independent podcast show that shines a light on rising indie and alternative artists from across the UK and Ireland. If you are new to the podcast, then please hit that subscribe button so you never miss out on any future episodes, and feel free to leave a comment as it will help us beat the algorithms. It's now time for episode 109, and for this week's podcast, we've got something a little bit different for you, as we are joined by Harry, who is a co-founder of Pine Festival, and he's also as well the drummer in rising indie band Muddy Elephant. Over the course of today's podcast, we're going to get the lowdown on Pine Festival, including how they curated their lineup, being part of Muddy Elephant, and much, much more. Harry, thank you very much for coming on the This is the Music Meets podcast today. How are you doing?
Oh, thank you for having me. It's a pleasure to be here. Yeah, I'm good. Really excited. I seen the podcast you done last week with Hannah. That was popping into my DMs all week. I just had so many people messaging me saying, "Have you seen this? This is amazing." When I reached out to you and you got back in touch to say you're happy to have me on the podcast, I've been really excited to hop on this call with you.
Oh, brilliant! Well, yeah, that's kind of the the aim of the podcast is to obviously try and shine, as I say, mainly on bands and artists, but it's also quite nice actually from I guess kind of like my own perspective, but also as well from yourself as well, to actually have something different on, which is obviously Pine Festival. Really looking forward to getting the lowdown on it.
Yeah, me too. I mean, there's lots to talk about. It's been something which has been put together for the last 3 years. So, like I say, there's a lot to talk about in terms of how it started and what's got us to where we're at now. We've got the full lineup announced, tickets are on sale, and we've got a date confirmed. So, yeah.
Brilliant, fantastic stuff. Well, obviously, we're obviously going to come on to that, and as I said there as well, to have a little chat as well about Muddy Elephant as well a little bit later on. But before we do, let's go right back to sort of like the very start, really. What are your earliest musical memories growing up? Was it sort of quite a musical upbringing?
Well, my dad loves the Beatles.
Yeah.
He's a massive Beatle fan. So, as a result of this, he would take me to see Paul McCartney. That was actually my first ever live gig.
Oh,
So,
amazing.
went to see Paul McCartney in 2003 it was, so I was 6 years old. And it was an outdoor concert, and it was literally where the Echo Arena is. It's called the M&S Bank Arena now, but
Yes.
it wasn't actually built at that time. So that's where it was. So it was this outdoor concert. And I remember just being amazed by it. So that's my earliest memory of a live show which I went to. But I've been brought up on all that sort of music: Beatles, ELO, Fleetwood Mac, Billy Joel, all your sort of proper music, as I like to put it. In terms of playing an instrument, obviously I'm a drummer, so I'm the only musician in the family, which is quite strange. It was a bit random how I got into playing the drums. So my mum worked in the high school, which was next door to my primary school.
Right.
And I would finish school and then walk around and wait for my mum. And there was this one occasion where I just went for a bit of a walk about the school just to kill some time while I was waiting for her. And I heard the drums playing. So I thought, oh, this is cool. And it turns out there was a lad who was in the school and his dad was a teacher and he was waiting for his dad to finish as well. So I just went into the room, started talking to him, and he taught me how to play my first drum beat. So that was probably aged 9, I would say.
Yeah.
So I've been able to play a drum beat for a very long time. However, I never pursued it until the age of 11. So when we come into high school, because drum lessons weren't an option in primary school, we were given the option to, what instrument would we like to play? So I thought, well, I can play drums, so I might as well. Well, I can play a beat, so I might as well see if I can, expand on that. And then, within 3 months of starting high school, I was having drum tuition.
Yeah.
And I also started having lessons out of school as well. And yeah, the rest is history. So that's where it all started. So I properly started playing drums back at the age of 11.
Yeah, yeah. Have you ever had any sort of, moments of like, oh, do you know what? I don't want to play the drums anymore. I fancy, maybe becoming a guitarist or maybe a bass player or anything like that. Was it always just been, all the way
It's always
drums?
been drums. Like, don't get me wrong, I'd love to play guitar. I have got a guitar and I started guitar lessons, but I found picking up the drums fairly straightforward. It was something which come quite natural to me. So I got to a certain standard, and when it's come to like picking up the guitar, I'm just very impatient. I want to get to that standard which I am at my drumming on the guitar, which isn't going to happen anytime soon. So yeah,
Yeah, I can share your frustrations. I can do some you can probably see my guitar in the background there. I can do sort of like basic sort of open chords, but the sort of the bar chords as they call them and sort of general guitar solos, yeah, I get frustrated, which is what you're saying.
yeah. I
Very
mean, I could do bar chords. That's the
yeah,
amount. That's like the most I can do.
yeah,
So
yeah.
yeah, but apart from that, I'm not really that technical at all.
And in terms of, and sorry, just going back to the drumming, who are there, is there anyone sort of in particular that you look up to, the sort of style yourself on at all?
I don't really look at anyone and think, they're my inspiration or I want to adapt their style. I'm just sort of going with my own. How can I put it? Whatever I'm good at, I'm just sort of pushing for.
Yeah,
I haven't really got any drummers in mind. However, when it comes to favourite drummers, probably Stuart Copeland. I
yeah,
think he's phenomenal. In terms of a band drummer, his technical ability is, off the scale, which is unusual when it comes to band drummers because they tend not to be as technical. You know, all the drummers I've watched from a young age, like when I watch them on YouTube, are all session musicians, so technically they're brilliant.
yeah,
But no one knows of them. So if I was to start reading off names, no, everyone would be like, never heard of him. Who's that? But if you start saying like Keith Moon and like Travis Barker and
yeah,
Ginger
yeah,
Baker and stuff like that, people are like, oh yeah, I know them. They're the best
yeah,
drummers in the world. When technically they're not.
yeah,
They're a
yeah.
brand. They are a brand. Is the probably the best way to put it.
Yeah, sure. Okay, brilliant. It's obviously, yeah, some great names obviously in there, as you say, but it's quite interesting. Not obviously not being a drummer myself, I barely play the guitar, but yeah, thinking about the technical aspect of it that, I guess, yeah, people don't realise. Again, a lot of people, I guess, just concentrate on, oh, that looks amazing, as you're saying, really.
Yeah, exactly. And if you think about it, like if you look at Keith Moon, he would blow his drums up. Travis Barker, he's a show. So these
Yeah.
people, they're putting on a show rather than actually. I mean, don't get me wrong, they're good. They're good drummers.
Yeah,
They're
yeah.
doing it. I'm not going to take that away from them. They are phenomenal, but they're more of a show than
Yeah.
concentrate the
Yeah.
technicality.
Yeah, no, definitely. Yeah, we better just get that in there in case Travis decides that he wants to tune into the
Yeah.
episode.
Sorry if you're listening, Travis.
Okay, brilliant. So a pretty, really good sort of backstory there, really. But let's obviously the reason that we're here today for this episode is to talk about Pine Festival. I believe it's being held over 2 days in August, the 30th and 31st of August. In Landed now in Wales. I hope that I've been able to pronounce that right. Well, my English isn't very good, so my attempt at Welsh is not a great much better, to be honest.
So the
Um,
double L is pronounced as a almost like a C, so it's like
Right,
Llandudno.
right,
I say
okay.
Llandudno though. I'm quite lazy with it. I'm sure the proper North Walians are fuming when they hear the way I pronounce it because I'm right on the border. So I'm sort of bordering Chester.
Yeah,
So I don't
sure,
sound
sure.
Welsh and I can't speak Welsh. Um, but yeah, it's quite Welsh in Llandudno because you're quite far into North Wales there. So yeah, I always get picked up on how I pronounce it. So
Ah.
don't worry about it.
Well, and I've been looking that up, and that's what Google come back with. So yeah, there you go. So thanks, Google. But obviously, as I say, it looks like you've got an incredible lineup, and for those that that aren't aware, I'm just going to reel off a couple of the artists that are playing. You've obviously got San Quentin, who are from Southend, which is where I'm from. Great band, great set of lads. The Out Charms. You've got Muddy Elephant. Hannah Maisie, obviously, as we've mentioned there in the intro. You've got Megan Wen, Lissy Taylor. You've got the Sherlocks, the Farm, the K's, Lottery Winners, and Scouting for Girls. I mean, how excited are you to have put this festival together?
Oh, I'm buzzing. I mean, it's, going back 3 years ago, I never would have imagined this would be the lineup which we had in
Yeah,
place. So when we've worked on it over the last few months to actually get the lineup confirmed, yeah, I'm just super excited to say that I've got these people on the lineup. It's sort of like a pinch me moment,
yeah.
especially that I'm playing on the lineup as well. So I can also say I'm playing alongside these. So yes, the two reasons to be excited.
Brilliant. And sort of when you were you're saying there it was 3 years in the making. So when you were curating the lineup, did you is that sort of so how did it happen? Did you know 3 years ago who you wanted, or is that sort of come,
No.
like much later? So what was the process like then?
So the lineups come pretty last minute. I knew what sort of like vibe I wanted with it being bands, obviously,
Yeah,
because that tailors to me and my background in music. So that's where the band aspect come from.
yeah,
Um, but I've had some support with Sam
yeah,
Passy, who's the front man of Muddy Elephant.
yeah,
So he's really clued up when it comes to indie bands, way more than I am.
yeah.
So it was great to get him involved in this and get his expertise and his ideas on what would work in the lineup, etc. I had a rough idea as to some bands I wanted when the idea sort of first came to mind. Uh, way back when it sort of first started developing all
Yeah,
these years ago. So I had like Razorlight and the Kooks in mind as like a headliner.
yeah.
But that's it. That's all I was going for. They're like the only two I would really mention. And we did reach out to some of those to try and get them on the lineup, but it just wasn't meant to be this year. So
Yeah.
who knows? Maybe we can get them going forward, maybe year two, year three, and see what happens.
So obviously, when you were putting the lineup you together, you've obviously got like a mixture of a lot of unsigned bands that are trying to establish themselves, sort of grassroots artists, and obviously sort of a couple of legendary bands in there as well. So did you ever think about maybe just trying to do it all like unsigned bands, or try and go down the other route of maybe getting more established artists? Was there any thought process about that at all?
I think it's the case of trying to get the right balance.
Hmm.
Initially, I wanted the event to be 10,000 people
Yeah.
capacity. Then we had a chat with a few consultants and industry experts, shall we say, and they advised against that figure and
Yeah.
said chop it in half and put it to about 5,000, which is what we're actually aiming for.
Hmm.
So, in order to sell 5,000 tickets, I think you need to get the balance of up and coming bands as
Yeah.
well as the established bands to get the numbers in. Because I think if you were to just have the local artists on the lineup, then you probably would struggle to get those numbers. So that's why we've sort of gone for the balance as it is, and also I think it's really important to give the opportunity to these local upcoming bands. With being in a band myself, an independent band. I know the hard work and graft which goes into it behind the scenes, which I wasn't, aware of until actually living it. Um, so I think if we can give these guys a platform just to promote their stuff on, then it's going to help them in the long run, and I think that's super important.
Yeah, definitely. I agree wholeheartedly with you there, because it's actually gonna be one of the questions we're going to come on to in a little while, actually, about grassroots bands, and obviously some of them at the moment, unfortunately, having to call it a day for various different reasons. But I think that's a great idea. Have you got is it just one stage? Is it two stage? What's going to be the sort of like split, I suppose?
So it's two stages. We've got the main stage and then the local stage. I keep on calling it the local stage. We're just waiting for the sponsor to come in and sponsor the stage so we can refer to it as to whatever it's called. But, if anyone's listening and they do want to sponsor that stage, I'm just going to plug that in now. Um, Feel free, drop me an email and we'll get your name plastered all over it. But yeah, so we've got the two stages there. Main stage, obviously going to have the headliner act. So we're gonna have like Scout for Girls on there, and then also the sort of bigger bands which we've got on the lineup, like the K's, the Sherlocks, the Lottery Winners, etc. And then we've also got like Lissy Taylor, Megan Wynn, and Katie Owen all on that stage as well, because we feel like they're on the edge, they're really breaking
Yeah.
through, and we think this is the next step which they need. And then on the local stage, we've just got all the grassroots bands.
Yeah, sure. Well, as I say, just reading off a couple of the artists there in the beginning of that question, it looks like you've done an incredible job, curating everybody and pulling it together. And when I saw the lineup, I was like, wow, that's really really impressive. So
Thank you.
credit to yourself, and obviously you said there as well about Sam helping out as well. Done a fantastic job. I'm probably going to put you a little bit on the spot with this next question.
Go for it.
So I do apologise in advance, but if there are only three artists that you could pick that you were most looking forward to seeing over the week, well, we'll say maybe overdo it over 2 days just to try and make it a little bit easier. Which artist would you pick, that you're most looking forward to going to see?
Can I say Mud the Elephant? No, I'm joking.
That's one.
I can't do that. I can't do that. Um, Obviously, I'm looking forward to see Scout for Girls. They're the main act. I've been a huge fan of their stuff. It takes me back to my high school days. So really excited to see Scout for Girls play. Um, I'm also really excited to see. I want to say 3210s.
Yeah.
Played with them in Chester Live Rooms on New Year's Eve, and I was blown away by just how good they were.
Mhm.
And they're such a nice bunch of lads as well. The drummer, he's quality. He's seriously unbelievable, and the singer, he's got such a good voice as well. So super excited to see those guys. Um, who else? It's a tough one. I'm torn between Honey Motel
Yeah.
and Arcs, but I've already seen Arcs. I seen them at the end of year fest, which was in Manchester,
Yeah.
Scruff of the Neck. And straight away blown away by them. As soon as they started playing the sound check, I was with Sam. I was like, Sam, get them on. We need to get these on. It's seriously unbelievable. There's only two of them.
Right. Okay.
Only two of them, but for the two of them, they make an absolutely massive sound. Um, so yeah, I'm gonna have to say Honey Motel because I've not actually seen them.
Yeah.
Um, I was made aware of Honey Motel purely because my best mate Tyler went to uni with one of the guys, or he was in like the same sort of shared apartment in
Right. Yeah. Yeah.
the accommodation. And he was always saying to me like, "Oh, my mate's in a band." And I was like, "Oh, what are they called?" And they've gone through a few different names over the years, but when I told my mate about the festival, he was like, "You're gonna have to get Honey Motel on." So yeah, I've not actually seen them yet, but I've listened to their stuff and I've heard some really good things about them playing live as well. So I'm gonna have to go with those guys.
Yeah. Brilliant. Great.
Sorry,
Fantastic.
everyone else, if I haven't mentioned you. I mean, I'd love to mention you all, and that's why we've got you on the line. But
Well, I'll just blame the person asking the question. It was a
yeah,
tough
you
question.
did put me on the spot there.
And is the lineup is that it, or have you got any plans to bring any more bands in? And if
Yeah,
you can you give us any clues as to who might be joining?
yeah. We've got a few more being added to the lineup. We've got Holy Coves.
Yeah.
We've just added them to the lineup. Again, we played with them in the live rooms. This was only like 2 weeks ago, I want to say. And again, really impressed with how those guys sounded. Top group of lads, and again, like they're from Wales.
Yeah.
They're from North Wales as well, so it's only right that we get these guys because they're local to the event. So it's really key that we support local bands
Yeah.
on this lineup. So we've got those guys, and who else? We've got a guy called Richard Reedy.
Right.
And
Okay.
he's a solo artist, but we've worked with Richard or Reedy, should I say? I'm not calling him Richard. It's weird calling him Richard, but yeah, we've worked on one of our latest songs, which is going to be getting recorded this year and released. So super excited to bring that one out, and he supported us in our headline show, which was in Chester. I was going to say live rooms again, but I'm just used to saying live rooms. Telford's,
Right.
Telford in Chester. So he supported us on that gig, and again, super impressed with his talent and what he can offer. So I think it's good to give him the opportunity to perform. So he's going to be opening the local stage on the Friday.
Yeah.
And
Sure.
I can't think of anyone else off the top of my head who's missing off the lineup.
You'll have to check out the Pine Festival socials to find out exactly who's going to be
Exactly.
joining, right?
And give it a follow while you're there, so you can keep up to date.
Absolutely. So obviously, as well as being a curator of a music festival, obviously we mentioned in the intro that you're obviously also as well in rising indie band. Muddy Elephant, and a band that we had back on the so we had on in the podcast even back in 2021. And for those that are watching on our YouTube channel, the link will be up there somewhere, or probably the other corner, maybe, I'm not sure. And for everyone else, it'll be in the episode bio. So if you want to check that out, that'd be fantastic. So yeah, how's life in Muddy Elephant at the moment?
It's good, really good. It's really exciting. We've got some big things coming up this year.
Mm.
It's been an interesting journey in terms of my career as a drummer, because since the age of 16 up until 26, all the gigs I was playing were in a cover band.
Right.
And then I was approached by these lads. So I've only been with the band a year
Hmm.
so far, but it's totally different to what I'm used to. Being a part of an original band. It's really interesting though, playing all these different venues, meeting all these new people, and then just actually writing songs rather than just learning songs and playing them to please the crowd.
Yeah, yeah,
Um, so that's what I love about it. When you play a gig and you're playing your own songs, and people come up to you at the end and they say, "Oh, that was great. I love that song you done near the
yeah.
end," or whatever. It means a lot more than someone coming up to me at a gig that I've just played in a pub and they're like, "Oh, Mr. Brightside was brilliant. Thanks." Yeah, I didn't write it. I'm copying. So yeah, it's really interesting. Like I say, it's different to what I've been used to, but really enjoy it. And the journey so far has been pretty wild, considering I've only been with the lads a year. I know they've been going since, I want to say 2019, I think, when they brought their first song out. But yeah, it's really starting to gain traction at the minute.
Yeah, well, definitely, and obviously, one of the well, I think actually it's two things technically speaking, but certainly one of the big things you got coming up in the summer. You're obviously going to be supporting Busted. You got I think one in Leeds and one I think up in Stirling. I think I've got that right. Um,
Yeah,
so how excited are you for that? Because they're that's a big deal.
it is. Again, I'm still pinching myself. Really excited. I think this is going to be like the peak of my career. Even if nothing happened after this, at least I can say I've played on a
Yeah,
stage with Busted and supported them. Um, but I'm sure something might come of it. This is a really big opportunity we've been given. But quite an interesting story. I remember getting a phone call from Sam
yeah,
and Webby, who is the bass player. My phone was on charge upstairs, and I went upstairs and I had like 5 missed calls off them, and they were like sending me messages saying "answer, it's urgent" in capitals. I was like, "Shit, what's happening?" And I phoned them back straight away, and they're like, "You're not going to believe this." And I said it as a joke because I knew we'd been in talks with Busted's manager, but nothing was coming of it. He was just saying what he would like us to do, etc. But I said, "Oh, what are we playing with Busted?" And he was like, "Yeah, we actually are." I was like, "Oh my god." He was like, "But there's a but." And I was like, "Oh no, don't. What's this now?" So they offered us 2 dates.
Yeah.
One was in Leeds, which is the 11th of July, and the second date was the 31st of August, which is obviously is the date of the festival. So it
Yeah,
was like
yeah.
it was such a exciting moment, but also, oh dear, what are we going to do to get around this one? So we went back to him and said, look, this is the situation. We're due to play in the festival, and Harry, owns it and is organising it, and obviously Sam is a key figure in that event too. So it's crucial that we're both there. So he come back to us and offered us a new date, and that was up in Stirling.
Wow.
So yeah, it's a quite a good lineup as well because it's not just Busted. We've got Scout for Girls in Leeds,
Yeah.
Soap as well, and then it'll be Busted, and then the one in Stirling is The Darkness.
Yes. Yeah. Sorry. Yes. That. I mean, that is fantastic with all of those bands really that you've got there because it obviously the little story there that you just told. That's a testament to you as a band that obviously the Busted management and maybe the boys as well wanted you to come and to be part of it. But I mean as well to be alongside some fantastic artists that have written you know some big hits and obviously played in some fantastic venues must be a real thrill, right?
Yeah, no, like super excited for this one. My sisters are older than me, so they're more of the Busted generation. So when I told them, they couldn't believe it. They were screaming and just super excited.
Brilliant. I mean, as you said there earlier on, I mean, even if nothing does come of it, at least you can say, well, do you know what? We've supported Busted, we shared a stage with them, and obviously the other bands as well that you mentioned. I mean, that is fantastic. And I wish you and well, obviously, and the rest of the Muddy Elephant boys, all the luck in the world with it because it does look like it's gonna this is gonna be a big year for you boys.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, it'll be good to get the rest of the lads on a podcast once we've done these gigs, so we can sort of reflect and look back,
Yeah.
and sort of tell you how these shows went, and where it is we expected, and how did we cope with just actually performing on a stage that big. So I definitely think it's something we can talk about in the future.
Yeah, yeah, no, definitely. But yeah, we would love to hear the story and how it all pulled together for you guys for sure. Definitely. Obviously, said we had Sam on, yeah, back in those dark days of lockdown. Fortunately, they've long gone now. But will
Yeah.
you be putting any new material into the sets for those gigs with Busted or not, or is that still being worked on?
So we're actually playing some new songs at our live gigs at the minute. We've got 2 new songs I want to say coming out this year.
Yeah.
We've been in the studio and recorded one already. Um, that's called 18. And I'm really excited to bring that one out. It's by far our catchiest song, just after
Okay.
Tusk.
Yeah.
The lads are gonna kill me for saying that because they hate Tusk, but it's by far my favourite song we play at the minute.
Yeah.
Um, and then we've got another song coming out as well later on in the year. We're in the studio at the start of June, recording that. Um, so yeah, I mean we're playing them now, but they're not on Spotify or anything yet, and we're just gonna continue to play them even in the busted gigs. So if you've seen us live recently, you pretty much know what to expect, and then yeah, just stay tuned for the new releases coming out on Spotify as well.
Brilliant, great stuff. Well, I can't wait to hear. Obviously, yeah, been a bit of a fan now for a little while. So yeah, it's nice to hear that you've got some new material going to be coming our way very very soon. But one of the sort of moving away ever so slightly from sort of music to a degree. You've probably seen, I'm sure, in the media, over the last few weeks, like grassroots venues are obviously struggling, and obviously it's also impacting on up and coming bands and artists as well. And obviously we've seen there was that other stuff as well in the media about the co-op venue, and the age of the artist that they'd booked to headline there for the next sort of year or however long it was. Um, so kind of like then, what do you think that maybe can be done to support grassroots, venues and musicians? Because from as a gig goer, myself, there doesn't look like there's really that much, being done. I mean, being done. You can go to an arena tour and it's, I don't know, £100 or whatever it is, £110 to go and see the headline, on the arenas, and whereas the grassroots venues where you're getting free bands on and you're paying, I was at gig on Saturday, I think it was like 15 quid. Um,
I
that's
think that's the
quite
issue.
big.
That's the issue we've got. People aren't willing to pay, £10, £15 a ticket. Especially, that's something we've realised when organising our gigs. We've had a few headline gigs now, and we try to keep it as cheap as possible
Mm.
as an incentive to get people in. We're not bothered about making money from it. We would do the gig and not get paid, but unfortunately these promoters and the venues, they charge a
Yeah.
price for having a sound engineer, the hire of the venue. So unfortunately, you do have to put a cost on a ticket, and people just aren't willing to pay it.
Mm.
If we could do free entry on our gigs, then absolutely we would. We played a gig last Thursday, it was in Cash 22
Mhm.
in Frodsham. Great little venue, um, owned by a guy called Paddy. Again, great lad, supports all grassroots bands, and we got paid a fee, and it was free entry as well. So I think if places could do more stuff like that, just to get people
Mm.
in and watching these bands, rather than pushing people away before they've even got a chance to see the band, I think adopting an approach like that would be really beneficial to help the grassroots bands, because it's hard sort of just breaking through that barrier to get to the arena stage. It almost makes it seem impossible.
Yeah, yeah, and I think as well that's probably why, we've seen quite a few bands in the last sort of couple of months just say, do you know what, we've given it what we can, and we're going to have to call it a day because we just can't see how we're going to get on to the next ladder type of thing.
Yeah, well, that's it. There's only so much you can do, and for instance, we're we've got a van which we have to pay for. Well, to be fair to Sam, he covers the cost of that. But he's got the fuel to pay.
Mm.
If we're doing a gig down in London, let's say, we've got to pay for accommodation. So these things aren't cheap. So majority of the time when we're playing these gigs, we're doing it at a loss.
Hmm.
But then not only from like a gig perspective, going in the studio, we've just recorded this new song which is coming out. That costs a lot of money. We've got merch to buy. You have to buy that in bulk, so that's an upfront cost. I know you get money back off the merch eventually, but it's an investment.
Yeah,
So it's not instant. You've got to wait for that money to come back. So it's really difficult, and we're finding that we're having to do some more gigs to get the money back. Um, when actually we could really do with more free time to be writing and focusing on the future of the band and where which direction we want to take it in. So yeah, really difficult, and that's something which I've learned over the last year or so.
and I guess as well, you saying taking on more gigs. I guess as well that the other side to that is that you probably don't want to play too many gigs. You obviously said you're in Cheshire. You don't want to play too many gigs in that sort of local area because people might, oh well, we saw them, a couple of
Exactly.
months ago or whatever. So it's a quite a tough balancing act then, right?
Yeah, I mean, we had a really busy year last year, and I think we pretty much played every single weekend
Hmm.
between May and September. With the odd weekend off. Um, but start of this year, we said we're going to strip back a bit and only do sort of the bigger opportunities which we're presented with,
Hmm.
and we found that doing that it did generate more of a buzz for getting people to see us, because I'd go to my mates and people I work with or family and be like, right, I'm playing locally. And they'd be like, oh, yeah, we're going to come see you because we haven't seen you for a while. And
Yeah.
if we don't see you now, it's not going to be until a good few months away until we can see you again. So, there is that to it. But then, like I've just mentioned, financially, we need to get these gigs into to put in the money pot, because
Yeah.
unfortunately, it's down to us to get the funds.
Yeah, no, definitely. It's yeah, it must be a quite frustrating, really. And it's certainly one thing that since I've been doing this over the last sort of 3 or 4 years, that's become more sort of more aware of. And you do try and go that little bit, extra really to try and help out, the bands as much as you can, either buying a t-shirt or, you know, vinyl, CD, whatever it might be. Because I think it's becoming more aware, but obviously I think that people probably maybe a little bit like myself weren't maybe aware of all the different costs involved, from production of your CD, sorry, of recording, and obviously, but then you got your rehearsal space and all of that, and as you say,
Yeah, and that's another
adds
thing.
up.
It's £30 to rent a rehearsal room, probably a bit more now actually for 3 hours. So all these costs people don't take into account, and they just think, oh, he's getting paid to do all this. We're not. We don't see any of that money. It's all getting pumped back into the band, so we can afford to, buy merch and
Yeah.
even practice. So
Mhm. Yeah, sure. Well, there you go. We know what we need to do. Keep getting out there if you can, and buying tickets early for gigs and, as I say, merch and CDs, vinyl, etc., etc. So, one of the things that we always do on the This Is the Music Meets podcast, we ask all of our guests, as I say, a series of questions that are kind of like designed to be a little bit more light-hearted, and just sort of help the listeners find out a little bit more about the guests that we've got on. So the first question is, what artists on the underground new music scene have you been checking out over the past 12 months or so? And I reckon
ooh,
I've got a rough idea because you could just tell me just to look at the lineup for Pine Festival, but
literally, that is literally it. A lot of the people on the local stage are artists which I've been listening to. Um, Arcs being a big one. However, I still, they're probably just
yeah,
a cut
next,
above now.
yeah.
Yeah, they've just gone to that next level. Um, Sustainair, those
Mhm.
guys are brilliant. Again, I played with them in Wrexham later last year, and they're a two-piece, drums, vocals, and guitar. And again, just for the two-piece, they make such a huge sound. It's a bit like a Royal Blood sort of vibe,
Right,
is what
okay.
they've got from them. But yeah, if you've not heard of Sustainair, go and check those guys out because they're brilliant. And again, we've got them on the lineup, and I wouldn't have it any other way. I think they are definitely worthy of a spot
Yeah,
on the Pine
sure.
Festival lineup. Um, who else? Funny Talks.
Yeah,
They're a really good
nice.
band. They're local to me. Um, Pop punk sort of vibe. They're doing really well for themselves. They've just been on a tour, and I think they've got some really exciting things planned. So, you know, keep a lookout for those guys. Go and give them a listen, and yeah, I don't think you'll be disappointed.
Brilliant, great stuff. There's certainly a couple there for me to go and check out, and I'm gonna.
Quite varied though as well. I've gone from pop punk to sort of Royal Blood vibe.
Well, that's the. I think that's the beauty about music, right? That you can, be so many different genres that you can check out and dip into. I think that does make it for an exciting time, and obviously the sort of the guitar scene in general, I think, is on a on a real rise at the minute, which is fantastic to see. And so I'm looking forward to actually checking those guys out that you've mentioned. There's a couple there that I've not actually come across myself, so looking forward to diving into that. What are your three favorite albums of all time?
Oh God. You've really put me on the spot with this. That's a really good question. I'm just going to keep on telling you it's a really good question until I can actually think of an answer. I hope you're good at editing.
No, I'm not.
Um, Killers, Hot Fuzz.
Yeah, nice. Yeah, classic.
That just takes me back to my primary school days, and they've just got some absolute epic tunes on there. Apart from Mr. Brightside, which was I am sick to death of hearing. Like seriously, it's a great tune. Don't get me wrong.
Yeah, yeah,
It's such a good song, but when you're playing it every week in a cover band, you do get sick to death of it.
yeah, yeah. Especially if that's sort of almost, the only song that a lot of people have come in, you know what I mean? Just come in for that and, you know,
Yeah. Um, there's a Catfish in the Bottom one I like as well, but I can't remember. I think it's the second album they brought out, but I can't for the life of me
uh,
remember what the name of the
was that
album.
Balcony? I think was that was the debut? I can't remember now.
No, I can't either. It's just slipped me mind. I can picture it in my head, but yeah, I'd go with those guys. And third album. It's a really tricky question because I don't actually like listen to albums. I just like listen to different
Yeah, yeah.
singles. I suppose that's the way of the world now, isn't it?
Mm.
Uh, Abbey Road.
Nice, nice, great
There you
choice.
go. I knew there was going to be a good one in there somewhere. Not that the others weren't good, but
I must have. I did think after what you were saying in the beginning, I did think, yeah, he's sure he's going to be picking a
yeah,
Beatles
got some
album in there.
people. Yeah.
Yeah, didn't let us down. Okay, this one's probably a little bit harsh again, a little bit cheeky. Busted or Scouting for Girls?
Oh, that is cheeky. Um, you know what? It is Scout for Girls.
Yeah,
I'm, I'm not really a big Busted fan. I'm not a fan. I just didn't really listen to their stuff.
yeah, yeah. Mate.
But I did listen to Scouting for Girls, so I would have to say Scouting for Girls. However, Busted are great. Nothing against you guys.
Maybe you could merge them together. I don't know how that would work.
Scouting for Busted.
Yeah, there you go. They're happy days. Brilliant.
But yeah, I mean, Busted have got some really good tunes, and we actually done a cover of "Crash the Wedding," and it
Yes.
was really good fun to play. So I really enjoyed doing that one. However, I've just not really listened to one back in the day. I've only just recently started listening to
Yeah,
them,
yeah.
so I would have to say "Scout for Girls" on that one purely for the sort of sentimental
No, no,
value.
fair, no, fair enough. And yeah, don't blame me at all. Um, would you rather fight a kangaroo-sized duck or 10 duck-sized kangaroos?
I say that again because I need to get my head around this.
Would you,
Kangaroo-sized duck.
yeah, would you rather fight a kangaroo-sized duck or 10 duck-sized kangaroos?
Right, I'm gonna have to say 10 duck-sized kangaroos because I'm absolutely petrified of ducks. So to have a duck which would be the size of a kangaroo, that'd be yeah. Like my girlfriend's literally just walked in as you asked that question, and she's looking at me like, "I thought you were on a podcast about music."
Yeah, it's not. It's a yeah, weird podcast. This one.
But no, that's a good. I like that one.
So what other plans have you got in store for 2024?
We've got a headline gig coming up. I can't say too much about that one now, because we've not announced any details. But there
Yeah.
is something in the pipeline coming there, so really excited for that one. Um, and then, like I say, we're back in the studio in June to get the second single recorded. And then I think we are actually going to try and get a third one towards the end of the year, just seeing how we get on sort of financially and just um, how much time we've got, because obviously super busy with the festival organising and all these big gigs. So we're just going to play that one by ear.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah.
and I think that's pretty much it for the rest of the year.
Yeah, no, brilliant. Well, I mean, as you said, you've obviously got, obviously with Pine Festival and obviously the support slots with Busted. It is a busy time for you, and I wish you all the luck in the world with it. As I said before, the festival looks absolutely incredible, and to be getting to support Busted is fantastic, really, and credit to them as well for giving an unsigned artist actually an opportunity like that as well, which I think personally is excuse me, is great to see. But Harry, unfortunately, that is the end of the This Is the Music Meets podcast. Thank you so much for coming on and being a great guest. I've really enjoyed it and getting to find out a little bit more about yourself personally, and also, what's going on with Muddy Elephant, and obviously how you put together Pine Festival as well. But before I do let you go, as I've just mentioned the festival again there, can you let the This Is the Music listeners know where they can buy tickets for it?
Yeah, sure. So if you go on to our social media, Instagram, Facebook, it's Pine Festival. There will be links to our website, which will then give you a link to the Universe platform where you can actually buy the tickets. I think we have actually got the Universe platform in our bio as well, so you can just click straight to that rather than going through the website as well.
Brilliant, great stuff. Well, I will put that link for the tickets in the episode bio. And
Yeah,
obviously, as I mentioned before, we'll put the Muddy Elephant previous podcast back from 2021 in there as well. So yeah, that will hopefully help with the
we have brought a payment plan into action as well, just to help with people buying tickets as well. So you can actually split the cost in three, so you can pay it over 3 months. Because when we first announced the tickets and the prices, people were a bit like, "Oh, that's quite expensive." And I'm like, "Well, this is normal for what we're doing. We've got to cover the costs somehow." But yeah, we thought, like, what can we do to make life easier and give everyone the opportunity still to um, attend Pine Festival. So we have got that payment plan in place, should it make it easier. And then again, we've got the option for, day tickets, weekend tickets without camping, and then weekend tickets with camping, because it is a camping festival.
Right. Okay. Brilliant. Well, I think that is a really good idea actually. To be honest, to have that option for people to be able to pay it off like that. Obviously, we know lots of people struggling at the minute. With the cost of living crisis and energy and everything else, without getting too political in with it. But as I say, that's a great idea, and I think to have that option is really good personally.
Yeah, no, we like I say, we just wanted to make it more accessible for everyone, especially North Wales, because there's nothing like this.
Mhm.
The last major music festival which took place in North Wales was back in 2014.
Wow.
It was Wakestock, and they said that they're taking a year off and then they're going to come back, and they just never come back. So yeah,
Wow.
that's what sort of give me the motivation to do it. That I'm tapping into a gap in the market here, and if you live in Anglesey, which is
Yeah.
as far west as you can go in North Wales, then you're gonna have to travel at least 2 hours to get to a venue like Liverpool or Manchester to actually see an established artist. So if we can give them the opportunity to be 45 minutes away from a major festival, then yeah, that's what we're here to do.
Wow, brilliant. Well, that's even better then, and I think as you were saying earlier with the I know you're waiting for a sponsor, but to have that local stage and to give it that local feel about it again, I think is incredible. Harry, look, thanks again for coming on. I've really enjoyed your company tonight on this episode of This Is the Music Meets podcast. And as I say, I wish you all the luck in the world with Pine Festival and Muddy Elephant as well, because it does sound like you've got an incredible sort of 6 months or so coming up.
Yeah, it's going to be wild, and I really can't wait to be on this journey over the next few months. Super excited. So yeah, I mean, this is my first podcast I've ever done as well, so I was a bit nervous for it. I didn't know how it was going to go, but thank you for being a great host and making me feel welcome, and I've really enjoyed chatting to you tonight.
Brilliant. Thanks for coming on, and yeah, great to hear that you that was you've enjoyed it, and that I was all right.
Yeah, you were good. I'll give you that. I can tell you've done it before.
And all that leaves me to say is to thank everyone for listening to the latest This Is the Music Meets podcast. Please subscribe so you never miss out on any future episodes. And if you're loving the podcast, it would be fantastic if you could leave us a rating and a review, as it really does help us beat the algorithms and help, more importantly, the artists that we interview to be discovered. Thanks for listening, and I'll see you very, very soon for another episode of the This Is the Music Meets podcast.